I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Any visitor comments? It's quiet night out there. Any visitors? Okay. Cynthia, you're up.
Great, thank you for seeing me. The East Quabbin Land Trust is working on several conservation projects this year in the town of Hardwick. And I'm here tonight about the first of them, and I will be back as they are prepared. This property is a 90-acre parcel that is directly adjacent to our Patrol Hollows Reserve property. So it's got frontage on Hardwick, Lucas, and Sizeski Road. Not the whole corners, but 90 acres there that's going to be added to Patrol Hollow Preserve. And the Conservation Commission has agreed to hold the conservation restriction on it so that it would retain it in its generally current and open and wooded state. And in order to do that, in order to accomplish that, a conservation restriction document is here. So the request of the Select Board this evening is to approve the conservation restriction as it works in the Commonwealth. The town Select Board is asked to approve every private conservation restriction that happens, just demonstrating that conservation of land is in the best interest or has public benefit. And so that's what the request is for this evening.
Any questions or discussion?
I got a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
One, Justine, did this contract get reviewed by legal?
No, it has not.
Okay.
I always thought you were going to just present about it, what you were looking for tonight.
Well, it has been reviewed by legal, maybe not by town council.
Right.
If the Conservation Commission, I did forward it to them. So if the Conservation Commission didn't have it reviewed by town council, but it's been reviewed by our attorney, by the state attorney, of the Commonwealth. So it has been reviewed by some legal counsel, maybe not town council.
Right.
Madam Chair, when do you absolutely need this by? Because I would like to run it by our town council, if that's the board's pleasure.
These are pretty pro forma, aren't they?
They are, and it follows the model language that's out there. There are no special terms and conditions that were added into this conservation restriction, and none of the conservation restrictions that we're doing in Hardwick this year have any particular reserved rights or anything different than the model. It can be reviewed by year-end date is when it has to be recorded, which means it needs to be signed by the Select Board, sent in to the Secretary of Energy and Environmental Affairs, gotten back and recorded. So if you would like to review it, that's of course
So we have time.
Pleasure. Yes, and I guess I'll come back and hopefully I'll have other ones for you, which would be all the similar language.
Sorry, it's just for me.
Okay.
Yeah, we have done these before,
Okay.
but,
I'm okay with it.
it's,
We have done it before.
we have,
Yep.
but that's totally,
Well, I do have questions about some of the language that you used.
Okay.
Like one of the ones is a very strong legal term about perpetuity, for forever. Like this-
Perpetuity? Mhm.
Perpetuity, yes, it's forever. So other conservation agreements, they have, the town reviews this in 25 years or 50 years, because you don't know what the town might need in 25 or 50 years from this moment. But with your restriction, just that language, it would never possibly happen, anything could possibly happen.
That's
If the
correct.
town needed that land for something.
Well, keep in mind that this is land that's owned by the East Quabbin Land Trust. The Conservation Commission is going to hold the conservation restriction. So the request at this point of the Select Board is to just acknowledge, based on, it's written right in here, that the Section 32 of Chapter 184 in the Massachusetts laws, that there is public benefit to conservation land. So this in no way does the town have any rights to do any development or make any changes, even if this wasn't a permanent conservation restriction. So what you're talking about is a deed restriction, where the current owner can put a restriction on it, and then that current owner is the one that has to maintain or renew it every 30 years is the typical time frame for it. The format for this is set up based on Massachusetts general law. It's nothing that the East Quabbin Land Trust has done differently or separately or any unique, and in order to meet the terms of the tax code, it has to be perpetual. So that's the way the IRS has set up the rules, is that for conservation for the donor, so the land has been donated to us, the donor, in order to receive the tax benefit, it has to be in perpetuity.
Okay. I have further questions. As far as, are you gonna develop this land in any way, shape, or form, like put in solar arrays or anything like that? Because there is a section in there that you have, like you could do 20%.
Yeah, if you read that paragraph, that would allow for green energy for on-site use only. So it is not open for commercial development where it would just go into the grid and nothing be used. And because this is a wooded area, we're not anticipating doing that. What you're reading is kind of template language. And so we've leave the template language in because that's the the model stuff that all the conservation restrictions say. Our intention as an organization is to manage it similarly to what we do with the rest of Patrol Hollow Preserve, the 136 acres that's adjacent to it, which is wooded and trails, and then has that small field along the frontage.
And is any of it gonna be farming or anything like that?
This particular 90 acres is all wooded, so I wouldn't anticipate it. Kind of some of the stewardship issues that it has, there's a whole bunch of invasive plants, like along Hardwick Road.
Be a
and
lot of work
fish-
to do any farming in there.
That's
Well,
right,
I'm not
in that,
familiar with the land, but
right.
I'm just asking the
It's right
question.
next to my house, so I know what she's
okay.
talking about.
Yeah, so that's more along the lines of the stuff that we would be doing, but not anticipating. Because if we wanted to promote farming, this wouldn't be the
Okay.
parcel to do it on. There's
Okay.
other properties that would be better suited.
Okay. Do you rent this land? Like, do you rent it out to the public, or does the public have full access to this land?
There's a public access paragraph in here, so the public has full access to the
Full
property.
access, I mean, like, at any
Yeah,
time,
to
there's
go
no
walking.
restrictions?
Well, I think it's like daylight hours.
Okay.
Dawn to dusk
Okay.
kind of, I mean, regular stuff. But
Okay.
all of our properties are open for hunting. Not that fishing would be great in the little stream, but all of those opportunities for
I'm just
walking
asking,
and things are
just-
open. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
If you're more comfortable having it reviewed, because it's new to,
That's just me, yeah.
we certainly can, and we can review it at our next meeting.
I have one other question, like, I looked at your Form 990, and last year you took in rent of like $58,000 or $59,000, and I was wondering what that was. That was in 2022, because I couldn't find 2023.
Well, 2023 has just been finished, so
Okay.
I can get that to you if you'd like.
Yeah, if you send it to Justine. like-
In the rent, well, I mean, I have to go back and look, but we rent our fields. So
Okay.
what's probably showing, you said 5,900?
No, I believe I read it as 59,000.
Yeah, so the things that we rent out and we pay property taxes for are, we have a house in the Frohloff Farmhouse on Church Street in Ware.
Okay,
So we pay full property taxes on that
Okay.
property. We rent the second floor of the apartment or the building that we're in, our offices are. So we do not pay rent on where our offices are because that's directly related to our mission. But the apartment upstairs, we pay full property taxes on that. And we also own the kitchen, the country store building in Petersham.
okay,
And we receive rental income from that. And so,
Okay.
and
Okay.
again, in Petersham, we pay full property taxes on all of our buildings.
okay. And do you contribute to property taxes in Hardwick?
We have made small gifts, and actually we're talking about what kind of gift we're gonna make this year. But yes,
Okay,
we do,
just
we do
curious.
make small gifts.
Okay, that's it.
I'll make sure this gets sent to council tomorrow, so we can get this on the
Okay,
next meeting.
yeah, because I did email it to you, so you have it.
I have one other question.
Yeah.
You have events listed, like 4 events per year for this property. In this, maybe it's a template contract that you have. Like agritourism, 4 events. Is that enough for you? Like as far as like doing fundraising or educational things or anything like that?
Yeah, so those 4 events, again, that's the model language
Mhm.
that the Commonwealth puts out. We don't actually anticipate running any agritourism events on this particular property.
Okay.
But it does provide that flexibility in the future should anything like that be needed. Because we're not talking about putting, farm fields or any of agricultural things, doing an agritourism event really doesn't apply. That would only apply in other properties where you're gonna have people pick pumpkins or go for hay rides or mazes or other things like that.
Just,
So this property is all wooded, so it doesn't really, again, it's model language that we've, you just carry through in order to allow some flexibility in the future. Because as you said, it is in perpetuity.
right. Okay.
Sorry, I misunderstood you when you wanted to come before the board, and I apologize. I thought you were just presenting to the board, I'm sorry.
No. Nope, but if we can move this forward and then know that the other CRs, I will email them to you as soon as I get approval from the state. They will all be following the same basic model, so you won't need to,
Perfect, yeah.
you won't
Right.
need to go through council
Right.
again. The things that change are, the address and the
Right.
names and that kind of stuff. But the Conservation Commission has agreed to hold the CRs on all the other parcels as well.
Thank you.
So we've been working collaboratively
Okay.
All right,
with them.
all right, fantastic.
Okay.
All right,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
Good night.
you.
Can we keep track of what it's gonna cost to send this to council and have them look at it?
Yep, I
Thank
keep
you.
track of all our legal bills.
Okay, thank you.
Hardwick Mill Greenery, but they don't appear to be here, so I think we can just let that sit to see what happens after our, meeting.
Sure.
They're
We
working.
can't talk to them if they're not here.
Right, and, they were here the previous meeting,
Right.
it would appear that they're trying to get it reinstated, and then
Yeah.
we can move forward from them. So until we have more information on that, then, it is what it is. So,
Okay.
nothing really to say there. All right, vote on trick-or-treating hours.
So I spoke to Lieutenant Landine, and he said historically the town has done 5 to 8. And what I didn't know until today is that the town has historically done it the Saturday before Thanksgiving, before Halloween.
Right,
So that would be Saturday the 26th.
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what, because they coincide that with the trails of the treats or whatever, yeah, so. All right, I would take a motion for that for October 26th from 5 to 8 p.m.
I'll make a motion. Fine. I'll make a motion for the holiday trick-or-treating hours from 5 to 8 on the 26th.
You don't have to second it. I always abstain from this.
Oh, second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
You can say opposed.
No.
Okay. Vote on polling locations. I assume
That would
Hardwick
be
Elementary.
Hardwick
Yeah,
Elementary
so I
School.
would take a motion for that.
I move that we set up the elementary school gymnasium as the polling location.
Second motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 The November 5th state election warrant.
Which I have here,
Okay.
just have the board sign. This
Do we need
little-
a motion, do we need a motion
Yeah.
to
Yep.
approve and whatever?
And move that we approve the warrant for the 2024 state election.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Moving right along.
Right.
Town administrator budget update.
So I just wanted to have a preliminary conversation with the board. I did already speak to the department heads at the department head meeting. I have been meeting with Mr. Colross from the finance committee. And we're gonna do the budget a little bit differently this year than it's been done a little bit in the past. I'm gonna be putting together binders for the select board and for the finance committee. So everyone has all the same information, all the budget requests from all the departments with my recommendations, and then a column for the select board and finance committee recommendations. We're starting it early because that's gonna take a little extra work, so that's why I'm talking about it in October, because we're already putting together the worksheets for it. But we want to get it started, you know, right after Thanksgiving. So I just wanted the board to be aware of, you know, the process is starting now. I have been working with Mr. Colross from the Finance Committee. He's been really great. And we're just looking to have more of a formal process, and also to try to mitigate any irregularities that I've come across in my 4 months, and possibly change some accounts to make things more transparent. For example, I think I've been pretty vocal since I've been here about the all boards account. Mr. Colross and the Finance Committee is on board with me with this, but I want to break it out and have every department be responsible for their own expenses. That way we know how much each department is actually spending. If it's all in the all boards account, it just doesn't look very transparent, and we don't actually know how much each department is using from it. So things like that. I just wanted to update the board if the board had any comments or questions or concerns.
I think that's great.
It'll be your last budget. This is good, because we weren't really included,
Yes,
so
The
this
past-
is much
yeah.
better. Thank you.
so just to be, you know, all on the same page as
Exactly.
it moves through the whole process. I mean, we didn't see the budget last year until May, April, end of April, May. I mean, as a board, that's
Yeah.
not,
It's
no.
our own fault too, but this definitely,
It
not
wasn't,
all-
it
not
wasn't me
all-
not asking, I can
No,
tell you that,
I
on a
can,
very regular basis, though.
I can assure you, as long as
Yeah.
I'm here, that will never happen.
Yeah, so
Okay.
that's good. Are we gonna meet with finance?
Yes, so I did talk to the Finance Committee Chair, and that is on,
Next
it's not the next one.
Okay.
He wanted to wait one more, so it's gonna
Okay.
be the first meeting in
in
November.
November, okay.
Okay.
But what I'm also gonna be doing is I'm gonna meet with all the departments ahead of time to find out what, from their point of view, what it actually takes to run their departments. So that way I want them to get more, I want them to have more authority and more involvement in their process, and start with that, and then, you know,
Okay.
with my recommendation, and then yours ultimately, so.
And then by that meeting in
Yeah.
November, will we see like the sheets, what they look like?
Yeah, if you
Like
would yeah.
what you're presenting to the departments?
I've sent them to the Finance Committee Chair, but I can absolutely send them to all of you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that would be good.
That's my budget update right now.
So are you gonna give them like, the all boards money that's
Yeah.
allocated? I think it's like 50 grand or something, a number.
Yes.
So are you gonna have the accountant like kind of do a summary report, or are you gonna, how are you gonna go about allocating this to each and every department?
So I pulled, with the town accountant, I pulled the FY '24, what was spent out of that account. I can't tell with everything what was each department, but there are some things that I can have
That are
some
very
sort of an
obvious,
idea, yeah,
right.
some sort of idea. So I'm gonna use that as a framework, and then with my conversations with each department, to be like, okay, well, how much do you think? And there's gonna be some trial and error, like, it's not gonna be perfect this
The
first year.
departments are gonna know what they put to all boards, because they're putting that on their turnovers, like, they know what has been,
Yeah,
you know, expensed out
Hopefully.
to all boards.
yeah,
Well, they should,
yeah, exactly,
so
yeah.
that would be helpful,
Right.
yeah.
And is all, like, each individual board gonna have a special code? So, let's say it's being allocated, but you do a report and you say, okay, this expense was
Yes,
board
Yeah.
number, whatever, 652,
yep,
you
it's
know,
gonna be.
example, and
Yep.
say town administrator is 655.
Yeah,
And-
So it will be salary, expenses, and professional services,
Okay,
that way,
for each and every board,
each department.
each department?
Yep.
Okay.
yeah, most boards and committees don't have budgets.
Well, is the accountant gonna be able to do all this?
Yep, so I have bi-weekly meetings with the finance team, with the accountant, the treasurer collector, and the assessor, and
Mhm.
we've already met once on this, and
Mhm.
she's already started, so.
Okay.
Yep, so again,
Excellent.
like, I know
Okay,
that there's
good.
probably gonna be some trial and errors
Yeah.
first year,
Yeah,
but hopefully after this year going forward, we'll have a streamlined process
Yeah.
that the town can follow for years and years and years beyond this board and beyond me.
okay.
Yep.
All right, excellent. Thank you.
Okay, I'm just gonna back up, because you guys walked in a little late and missed visitors' comments, so I don't know if you had, no, that's okay, I just didn't know if you needed or wanted to
Just
say.
you as good citizens.
Okay, that's all, I just wanted to make sure. Perfect,
Good.
thank you. All right, discussion on board and payment in lieu of taxes, otherwise known as pilot policies. So, Bill, do you wanna
Yeah, you
talk
don't mind
about?
me
No,
speaking about it?
no, absolutely not.
Okay, that's great. Basically, we talked about establishing policies, stuff like that, at our last meeting. And I was doing some research, and
Thank you.
then I came across payment in lieu of taxes that other towns are doing. So then I did a very deep dive into it, saying, well, why are other towns able to do this and we're not? Well, so.
Or why aren't we doing it?
Or why aren't we
Right.
doing it? Okay.
Yeah,
And so, after researching and everything, I recommend that we do create a policy. And, if you don't mind, I'll read this, okay? On behalf of the Select Board and the residents of Hardwick, I present this draft payment in lieu of taxes pilot policy for consideration. Right? This pilot policy will benefit all the residents, businesses, and tax-exempt organizations in the town of Hardwick. I want the people to understand that when you take a taxable parcel and you remove it and that parcel becomes tax-exempt, the tax levy for the town isn't reduced. That property is now shared amongst the remaining taxable parcels. Okay, instead, so it shifts the burden to all the remaining taxable parcels to make up the difference. Okay, and most of these tax-exempt organizations, we get no money from, no pilot as of right now. And so the primary goal of the town is to have the cost burden of providing services borne by and shared among all the residents, businesses, and nonprofit institutions to the extent that is possible and reasonable. The Select Board seeks to establish a forward-thinking payment in lieu of taxes pilot policy that fosters a partnership between tax-exempt organizations and the town. This policy aims to ensure that tax-exempt organizations benefiting from town services contribute equitably, while also encouraging those nonprofits to invest in the growth and sustainability of our small, beautiful rural town. So, I created like an overview of, to give an overview of pilots, and then a pilot policy itself that we could send to legal and say, here you go, here, we put a lot of work together and save them many, many hours to create this, and say, here's a template. And from what I understand, KP Law, whenever you Google KP Law and you Google pilot programs, they come up as the #1 attorney in the state. So, and they're our town council. So this is something that shouldn't cost the town a lot to implement. And so basically it's going to be based on assets of that nonprofit. How much property do they own, the assessed value. And so it would be a percentage of that. It wouldn't be the full rate. And then also with like new, say, tax exempt coming in to town. Let's say their assets are under $1 million. We'd work out an agreement with them where it would be less. It would be something, okay, we start out at 25%, but over the next 5 years, it's gonna go up. And so it's a working partnership. So it's not, properties keep coming off the tax roll, and the expense of everybody else is burdened with that, and our tax rate keeps going up and up and up. There's gotta be some type of balance. And just so everyone knows, Boston has implemented this. Cambridge has implemented this. And Northampton was concerned in 2015 that 22% of their property has already been bought up by tax-exempt organizations, 22%. Right now, currently, Hardwick is at 33.43% owned by tax-exempt organizations. And I got that number from Jen, the assessor. And that's land and personal property, how she does her accounting. So it's something, and I only bring up Boston, Cambridge, and stuff like that. I work in that area, but if a city like Boston with their budgets, and Cambridge with their budgets, they have, $1 billion almost. They're concerned about emergency services for fire, ambulance, schools, stuff like that, that these organizations do not contribute to, and it falls on the taxpayer. And so if a town like, or a city like Boston is concerned about, how they're gonna cover their emergency services, it should be a warning to small rural towns to say, hey, you gotta do something, because we don't have the budgets of Boston and stuff.
No.
So that's why I recommend we do this, send it to legal, have them work out a template, have them work out a policy, which shouldn't cost the town much money to do. And then at our next meeting, hopefully we have it by then, or the following meeting.
You've already
and
sent it, haven't
continue.
you? Yeah, they're already working, yeah. I thought it was already been sent.
Legal's already looking at this?
Yeah. I love the idea of this. I don't know how it would be,
Received.
it's not even that. I don't believe that you can force anybody to go into a pilot.
Well, here's the two different things.
So I wonder about that. Obviously, the state is not gonna enter a pilot program with us, and
No, they
own
will.
a lot of
They've
our-
already have, actually.
Yes, on certain properties,
Yes.
but not other agencies.
Well,
Mass
actually,
wildlife.
it's being talked about.
Right.
This kind of thing is being talked about in
Yeah.
the towns surrounding Quabbin,
Mm-hmm,
which would be pilot at a point.
Mm-hmm.
And if I could
Mm-hmm.
jump in.
Sure.
When I was selectman earlier, Jen and I went to Eagle Hill, because they would be the big nonprofit. And Jen came up with a formula. It was how much they used emergency services, sanding of roads, things like that, and how much that would be if they had been paying residential tax. And PJ agreed to a figure. He wouldn't agree to call it a pilot program. He wanted to do it as a gift.
right.
But he was agreeable to, giving us some money. Again, I don't know how we can force.
Right. They do pay their property taxes now based on the value of the property when it was first taken.
But not the campus, only
The houses.
the houses
Correct, that they
around
own.
town. Right,
Correct.
Right.
Can I ask a question? Are we allowed to ask questions while you guys are talking?
It's up to the chair.
We're done, right?
Huh?
They can
It's up
access
to the
it.
Yeah,
chair.
when-
if she
once we're done-
recognizes you.
Yep, I will,
Okay.
just a second.
Sorry.
Well, one thing I want to bring up to you, like Mass General Law 59.5 talks about the tax exemptions, okay? And when an organization acquires a piece of property and they're tax exempt for that property, well, Chapter 121, 6A is when that organization, that tax exempt organization redevelops that land and does new construction or renovation, tears down a building and builds a bunch of houses or new building, that opens the door for the town to negotiate a pilot policy. Because the planning board is supposed to review and say, what is the stress gonna be put on town services? What is the impact of this for police? What is the impact for fire? What is the impact for sewer? What is the impact for school? Okay? And those services are not free to anybody,
Absolutely.
okay? And what's the impact to our infrastructure as far as roads, clearing the snow, sanding, I mean, everything, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And these are the services that I'm talking about, and I don't know what, just basically going forward, just because an organization has developed something and has it in place, doesn't mean that shouldn't have been done in the past. But us realizing it now,
Mhm.
from this point forward, we can implement a pilot program.
Yeah, I'm
I'm just saying, we can
I think it's a
modify
great
legal.
idea.
You just have to get them to agree.
Well,
right.
to a certain degree, yes. But they're using our town services, and this is something that they would want to benefit from. I mean, we need a fire truck, but technically, this town needs 2 fire trucks.
Yeah,
I mean, to be, you know,
exactly. No, yeah,
so.
yeah.
Need the reservoir fixed.
Right,
too.
and
Yeah.
so, that's what drove me to this. If
Yeah, no,
other
I think
towns are
it's
doing this, and the state has actually tried to pass legislation on this. You know,
And
it's a serious topic.
It very much is, especially for us small communities.
Yes,
Like 100%.
and we need revenue. The
Mm-hmm.
town of Hardwick needs revenue, and it needs to come from somewhere.
Mm,
And I'm not singling out any particular tax
And-
exempt entity. I'm trying to,
Anyone at all.
I actually want to attract more, you know, that are willing to work with
With the-
Hardwick
with
the
the
way the
community, yeah.
Hardwick wants it to be.
Yeah, I agree.
So
So,
we'll get this back from legal.
mhm.
Again, I think the only glitch is getting them to agree. It has to be an agreement. We
Right.
can't go in and
It's
force the
voluntary.
issue.
Right.
Right, but at the same time, we
would
can
think if we-
negotiate, Eric.
If we
There are
implement it,
certain things
then,
that, once we have a policy, we can actually sit down with every single tax
and
exempt
hopefully
organization.
they'd be willing to work with us.
Yes, and they gotta understand the needs of
Yeah.
the town. They need fire, they need police,
Oh, yeah, no.
everyone does.
we-
Yeah.
we
You know,
had
they
an
need
agreement
roads
with-
that are paved.
Yeah.
They need a DPW, they need a staff, they need,
Yeah.
you know, people in the town hall can't continue to work at minimum wage.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? They're gonna make
Yeah.
a decent wage, or else these people are gonna leave.
Yeah.
And it's gonna
Agreed.
impact the town even greater.
So,
And these
let's,
are all services.
let's
These are
see
all-
what town council says, and we'll move from there. See what their comments are, and, but, Harry?
So my question was, and I don't mean to target Eagle Hill, but aren't they the biggest user of our police? And, you know, with all those kids up there, I'm sure the fire department gets called if a smoke alarm goes off,
Mhm.
or
They do, yeah.
blah, blah, blah. I'm just curious.
They actually bill them if it's more than a certain number of nuisance calls.
They're being billed? Do they pay
where
them?
they used
And
to.
do they
Yeah, I'm
pay
not
it?
sure that that's,
Yeah, I don't know
Yeah.
anything
I
about
don't know
that.
anything about that either.
Well,
think it's been a long
It was
time.
like that.
I think, yeah, I don't think
Yeah.
they've been billed, I don't think there's
I
been.
will say, I don't know
I'm
how
curious.
frequent the calls have been as of lately either, because just,
We'll look into that.
yeah.
And like all the new housing they're building for staff,
Yep, there's 6 new houses up there.
well, there's 6 that were built over this past year, but there's another whole area they're
Yeah,
developing.
another 6 or 8, I think.
So, and
Is that-
that is non-tax, are
Correct.
they paying taxes on those houses?
No. Because that's on their property.
Well, see, this is the thing. When they're developing that land, this is something that should have been negotiated with the select board, or it can still be negotiated with the select board.
Yeah.
Because you say staff, right, and it's
Right.
housing,
Yeah.
how many people have families up there, and their kids are gonna attend our school system at 20 grand a head?
Well, I know one that does, because I pass him Monday, Wednesday, and Friday,
I mean-
while he's waiting for the bus. Yes, Luke.
So I think that this is an issue that is, I'm glad, Bill, that you brought it to the forefront. I think it's not just Eagle Hill.
It's not.
Look, we all love the land trust.
Mm-hmm.
I've got property in chapter 61A. We cannot put the burden of all the taxes on the people of Gilbertville.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and that's essentially
Yeah.
what we're doing. And I think as a town, and even as Eagle Hill, I think that there's gotta be someone to negotiate a little bit on behalf of the select board with all of these entities.
Agreed.
And I don't think it's unachievable, and I think it's a good idea. You know, I think it can be done. But there are 2 things. Eric, you're right, you guys did meet with PJ, and you made
Mhm.
some steps towards that, but I believe that was never really followed through. Like, they never really did make those payments.
Yes,
that
they did.
They did.
100%. It used to be
Okay.
around $26,000 a year
Yep,
until they started paying property taxes on their properties that they own in town.
Okay.
Then I believe it shifted
Shifted.
to
less-
that
less
value,
than one.
correct.
And you know, that's the kind of thing.
Because I remember that when I
Yeah.
was back on the
I
finance
mean,
committee,
maybe
that they were
some
making
of
those
these
payments.
nonprofits are actually doing a better
Yeah.
job than everybody thinks, but it's gotta be pretty transparent.
Yeah.
And it's gotta be aware, people in town have gotta be aware, because there's a lot of people who are like, oh, that
Oh,
place
yeah,
up there.
and they did, you know, they
Right.
did make those payments.
So I think this is a good idea. I think it would bring transparency.
Mhm.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
the reason I'm here.
Okay.
But I think that if you could, I think it would be worth reaching out. Maybe this is the way to do it, but somehow, I mean, I think it's a right time to do it too.
yeah.
I think that.
I think, and I believe it's the attorney, did you tell me, the attorney that is doing this, like this, this is what he does? That's reviewing it, did you tell me that?
KP Laws is,
Oh, I
if
think
you
so.
Google KP
Yeah,
Law,
I thought-
they come
no.
up as like the #1 attorney in the state for
Okay.
pilot
Okay.
And the
policy.
other thing is aren't there some state laws that kind of mandate new, I thought that
Mhm.
there were some newer laws that were designed to help towns with this issue, right? I mean, not just,
That's why I referenced chapter 121,
Yeah,
6A,
Right,
redevelopment
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So that's when.
So that's what's
I
happening right
don't know
now.
the details on Eagle Hill
Right.
when they acquired that property. Was it a single structure? And now what is it today?
it's a lot.
It's a field.
Okay,
yeah,
so
it's empty, it was
But,
just,
and they do
But
come
that's just an
before the
example.
planning board, correct?
Right. They do. They have
for
to.
all the construction.
and they have to get their permits
Right, but
to,
at the same time,
know.
who knows if the
Right.
planning board was aware that this is even a possibility?
thing,
Because a
right.
lot of people think, oh, they're tax exempt. They're tax exempt. They're exempt from everything. Well, they're not exempt from everything.
right,
I think they're exempt from zoning.
They're not.
Yeah.
Well, they're not exempt from zoning. If you look it up, you can Google it. But this is why we have KP Law, and we have KP Law review this.
Yes.
They come up as the best attorney in the state, so hopefully we get somebody
yeah,
that
I don't know.
does this every day and says, okay, this is what you do. But basically, all I'm trying to do here is say, hey, we're all in this together.
Yeah,
And we need fire trucks, we need emergency services.
It's a good
We need
idea.
to support our
No, it
schools,
is.
we need to
Yeah.
support our roadways, we need to support our sewer.
It's a good
How are
idea.
we gonna do that? We're not gonna do that on the backs of 1,500 people and properties. Not when, I mean, I don't know about you, but I've never had to call emergency services to my house, and I've lived here for 12 years, you know what I mean? And so, but other people are
My kids
getting those
called
services,
911
and then maybe,
911 once.
you know, we pass a policy.
Thanksgiving morning.
If we
I
pass a
call.
policy, we could easily start to say, go into, ask emergency services, ask the police. How many times have you gone to all the tax exempt entities
Yeah.
you want to report? And if they're not tracking it, they need to start
I
tracking
wrote
it.
a note on that.
Yeah. So we'll see what they say, and we'll keep having this on the agenda so that we can
Yeah.
keep
Yeah.
working on this.
But I think legal should
Yeah,
review it, and I think we
Yep.
should continue the conversation,
yeah.
and that's it.
Already with council, so I'm
And
Yeah,
hoping.
we're
exactly.
open
And
to
is the-
negotiate.
And is it the select board, is it you three
Yes.
that approach these nonprofits?
Well, it
Yeah,
would, but
that's
I
how it
would
would
think
be.
with town council,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not
Right.
gonna try to negotiate. You know, we would need
Right,
support
we would
with
need
that.
legal, but
Yeah.
But
yes,
if
absolutely.
you had a program, if you had this in effect already.
Yes, that's
Correct.
what I mean.
Then you approach
Yes.
these entities that are, yep,
So you, as a select board, would approve
The policy.
the policy.
correct, right.
That would be a
That-
start.
That would
falls
be the
on
three
us.
of you approving it,
Yes.
not a town vote or anything.
No,
No.
just, yep, just as a
No.
policy, yep. So,
It's okay.
yeah, no, it's a good idea. We also had the board policy.
Right, which
Is that-
I've been working on this. I
Okay.
kinda got deep,
That's okay.
like, so I've just been working on
Okay,
this
nope,
right now.
that's fine. Good, no, that's,
Do you want me to put it on the next meeting or hold off for a couple meetings? Or?
Yeah, just hold off for a
Okay.
couple meetings.
Yep.
okay.
But if we hear back from legal on
On
this,
this, then we can keep.
yes.
I think this
No.
is
This is more
important.
important.
And I think we did have the discussion on the board policy, and I think we're all in agreement.
Yeah.
We don't have to jump the gun on things, so,
On
you know,
certain votes,
we
we just
know that,
basically,
yeah.
it's coming before the board
so
for
we
the
know
first
that,
time.
right,
It's for discussion only.
you know,
So-
so, you know, unless it's something extenuating,
Right.
then we can deal
Right.
with that then. All right, so the next item is the special event form. Thought we had asked other folks to be here.
I was expecting a whole bunch of people.
Yeah, okay. So I guess,
We can put it off and,
yeah, I'd like to make a couple of comments because I've thought a lot about it and had some discussions with Justine too, that I truly believe that this form is necessary, whether or not we tweak it or not, and this is my 2 cents. I do think it's important that we have this form for, you know, people. I think for our liability for the town, it's important. You know, we're considering new avenues for different insurance, and it's actually been a question, you know, because we need to cover the town's liability, you know, to protect the town. If something were to happen at one of these events and the insurance had to step in, they'd probably question why we didn't have a form of this nature or of some nature. I get, you know, the small groups that are trying to do for the kids or, you know, for a community thing. I think that, you know, I think we can work with these folks as necessary, but I think it's important to keep that form in place. I'll get off my soapbox now.
Oh, that's fine.
You know, so whether or not we want to tweak it a little bit or, but I do think it's important.
Right,
You know, and not everything is going to apply to everyone.
right.
That's understandable, and I think that's what we were trying to get across at the last meeting. We had some passionate moms, and I get that.
Right.
Been in those shoes, I get it, but, yeah, I just think it's important that, you know, our responsibility is to the town, yes.
I think that, I was just thinking kind of about the common. You have a common, the historic way, I mean, if you looked at the historic rules and how the town is supposed to create a common, it's for gatherings. So I guess the question, or at least I would put forth the small town and the nature of it all, right? You don't want to, you certainly don't want to prohibit gatherings, right?
Of course not.
And I hear you
Right.
saying that.
Yeah,
But I do actually think that there might be some specific town bylaws about the common that
someone,
allows you to have gatherings on the common. It's-
the fair brought that up.
Yeah.
Her email.
So I would encourage the town to maybe look into that.
Yeah.
Even if it's.
One of the comments on it was that there was a vote years ago about, she was specifically mentioning the fair,
Oh, yeah.
but it could have been that it was for gatherings. And so that's why we had suggested, so okay, Parks and Rec can sponsor these events. Now you're covered by our policy.
Right.
Insurance, yeah.
So that there's no, you know, if something were to happen, God forbid,
Right.
well, Mary Jo put the event on so that all the kiddos could be, you know, we don't
It's
want
a
that to
litigious
happen
world.
either. You know, we don't want that person to be, I mean, we're looking out for the community and, you know, and obviously the town, like we
Right.
have to do that, yeah.
Never to forbid people from events, like.
No.
Absolutely
No.
not.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We're not the fun police.
no.
How do you
I never
see,
knew
My
you'd be
kids
the
used to
fun
call me
police.
that, but I'm not, I promise.
How do you see the farmer's market?
Yeah, again, like that's another,
I mean, we're a right to farm community. So
we are, so
Would say.
I don't
mean,
even
I'm
know
not
who,
looking
I
at
don't
it,
even
but-
know who organizes that.
I think
This-
you need to look at the
You know,
bylaws and the
yeah.
laws
Long time it
associated
started,
with the
yeah.
common. Because there's a
Has
lot of
been,
commons, and not only that, but I think that your liability insurance
Yeah,
may already cover
Cover
events
all
on
that, yeah.
common.
and I think, you know, obviously this came about because there was a big event happening in town, and all the departments didn't know about it. You know, and the right coverage and this, that, and the next thing wasn't gonna happen because no one really knew about it. So, I don't wanna say that it's geared towards those bigger events, I'm not, you know, cause I don't wanna be pointing fingers, well, you have to, but you don't. I just think it's good to have that boilerplate, you know, form, just so that, you know, the PD knows, or the fire department knows, so that something's going on, even if it is the trick-or-treating, just so that they're aware. Of course, they're probably aware, but this just puts it on everybody's radar, to keep people safe,
Smart.
you know? So I think that's probably where we stand now. I mean, yeah, I think we just move forward and see what happens. I thought we'd have more of a conversation with
Yeah.
with the folks that were here last time, but
You covered it.
okay. I'll get off my soapbox.
You said that before.
All right, I mean it this time. Meeting minutes for approval, September 23rd, 2024, and September 30th, 2024.
You okay with it?
Yep.
Okay.
Motion?
Make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from September 23rd, 2024, and September 30th, 2024.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Town administrator report.
So today, actually not, it wasn't Lieutenant, it was Sandy. We met with another phone company to get quotes to replace the soon-to-be defunct phone system. So they're coming out next week to also give us some quotes, so we can have a bunch and see. This one was recommended to me by another town, so right now we're just getting more information before we pull the trigger on anything, so.
Good.
I attended the monthly construction project meeting with the engineers for the sewer project. I met with the finance committee chair on the FY26 budget and special town meeting. I joined the MMA capital planning webinar and the DOR rural check-in teams meeting. I had a Zoom meeting with CMRPC and Mr. Walheim. Regarding the MVP grant, we submitted 2 applications, or letters of interest.
Expressions of interest.
Sorry, expressions of interest. One for a potential grant writer and the other one for solar panels on the elementary school / shelter roof.
Excellent.
No answer with that yet.
No.
Okay.
Actually, I attended a walkthrough of the townhouse as part of the $95,000 townhouse improvement grant with Ann Barnes, who's here.
Nice.
So I talked about earlier, we're doing bi-weekly financial management team Zooms. So my next one is this week, just ahead of the budgeting process. And again, it's a team effort and I want to make sure everyone's on the same page. Met with fire chief, police lieutenant, highway superintendent, library trustee, and on grant priorities. There's a lot of grants coming out right now, but we kind of need to figure out, where our
Energy should be spent.
right.
Yep.
I don't have time, and no one has time to apply for every grant under the sun right now. But there's some really good ones out right now, so that was really good to kind of see from other departments
Good.
what they think too and get their buy-in. So I attended the MLCGP post-award webinar for the Homeland Security grant. That was the grant that Lieutenant Landine got to change everything over to .gov. I don't exactly know where that stands right now. I know our IT has been working with Lieutenant Landine. They're working on it.
Can you tell me what that abbreviation stands for?
Not a chance.
Didn't mean to put you on.
No, I was wondering the same thing.
I could definitely look it up if
We'll find
you'd
out.
like me to. Yeah.
Okay.
What is it?
MLCGP.
It's a new one to me.
I can look it up too.
CPG.
Massachusetts Legislative. Come on.
I'm not on the Wi-Fi,
Got
so.
some out there.
Oop.
What? Meaty, beady, big and bouncy.
Yeah.
Let's just call it the state and local
Oh, okay.
cybersecurity grant program.
All right.
Yeah, Logistic Partner Consulting Partners
Yep.
Group. No.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
doesn't matter.
Okay. Anyway.
I attended the finance committee meeting. Also presented them with some free cash policies from other communities that they're going to be looking at. I think I sent them with 4 or 5. So I know they're going to take that up at the next meeting. I participated in a discrimination and harassment in the workplace training. We interviewed one candidate for the wastewater treatment plant assistant chief operator, who was actually an internal candidate. The external candidate actually never showed up, but we have another interview scheduled for tomorrow afternoon. So we'll see how that goes.
Good.
The 2 new hires in highway started. One declined, and the job has been re-advertised. So we're looking for the job with the CDL. That's the position that the individual turned down. As I said earlier, I might have not, I met with John Brissett from Hub Insurance on our property and casualty insurance for FY26. He's definitely thinking he can find us some savings. So that's really good. Hub Insurance is the second largest public entity insurance company in Massachusetts. So that was a really good meeting. I met with the Board of Health Chair and Select Board Chair on potential changes to the Health Department. The Board of Health Chair and myself, not this week but next week, we're meeting with the Quabbin Health District. Their meeting, not to really say anything, but just kind of observe and see what their meeting's like, and that's ongoing. I attended the MMA legislative breakfast. I also attended the Massachusetts Association of Regional Schools Zoom meeting with the Select Board Chair. I toured the recycling center. I hadn't been down there, and she also had said
Check out the swap shop.
I did walk in there. But she also said that she would love it if maybe a board member would come down at some point.
I go there almost every other Saturday.
Oh, you do? Okay. Yeah.
Just saying.
Had a call.
You're just Kelly Allen. Or Kelly Kemp.
She wanted a board member there for what?
So I just did a walkthrough. She had some concerns, some things that she wanted to talk about, like the roof. They have the materials for the roof, but it's definitely leaking.
Maybe she doesn't know that we're select board members
Do you go there too?
every Saturday.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
We don't go every, but it's like every other.
Oh,
You gotta go to
maybe.
Phil, you gotta get my books, you know. all
Yes.
that,
Yeah, they have great books.
I always, I give my books and I take some books.
Yeah. Try to
Yes.
come out lighter.
Yeah.
Well, I'm trying to help
Okay.
them out.
Yeah.
They have no Wi-Fi, so I'm trying to at
Which-
least get them a hotspot or something.
So that should have been in our Comcast last build out. Every town building was supposed to make sure that they had internet.
Interesting. Okay.
Eileen Leahy, I'm sure she'll be in your emails.
Okay.
I'm almost positive that building was on the list.
Okay. I will check that for sure.
I asked for the townhouse to be on the list, and we have the capability, we
Correct.
can afford it.
Right.
And they
Well,
are,
that's, so you have to pay for it.
yeah.
But I don't even think they have it hooked up there.
Okay.
Is that the problem?
That is the problem.
Yeah.
I
And
will look
I
into
think
this.
that should have been in our last build out.
Okay.
You guys have it, you just gotta put it into your budget. Right. Yeah, they won't pay for it.
Do we run a contract with Comcast every year?
Every 5.
5.
5?
Yeah, and it was just done last October, I believe.
Okay. I will look into this. This is good to know. Thank you.
Yeah. And I guess I won't bet money on it, but I would almost bet money on it.
I had a call with the Select Board Chair and Town Council regarding the Hardwick Mill Greenery request for new host community agreement. As previously stated, that is ongoing. So more information to follow, I should say. So the town clerk from Millbury came out last Friday to help train myself and my executive assistant on all things licenses, liquor licenses, class 2, class 3. So hopefully, that's
That
also
process
coming.
will
Yes.
be, yeah, because
We're
those
also-
get
yeah.
done in November
Yep.
and December, yeah.
Yep, so that, first liquor, then class 2 and 3,
Right.
so those are also coming ahead, so. The Board of Health is now taking sharps during business hours. Trish Tinker, spearheaded that, so now she has a box in her office, and she's all set up, so that's a new service we're providing. Under recognition, I just want to thank everyone that attended the open meeting law training. I'm hoping everyone that attended got something out of it. I also want to recognize John Paul Dupre, who is one of our wastewater treatment operators. He achieved his 5C license, which is the highest license
That's great.
that you can achieve down at the wastewater treatment plant. So I want to recognize him for that.
Nice.
Important dates. Senator Durant and Representative Berthium staff's October office hours are October 16th, which is tomorrow, from 10:15 to 11:15.
Here.
Yes, in this room. Yep. The special town meeting is being held on October 17th at the Hardwick Elementary School at 6 p.m. So that would be this Thursday. We scheduled my first coffee with the town administrator at Mimi's on October 29th from 9 to 10. So we'll see who wants to come have a conversation. Meet me, have a cup of coffee.
Fun.
Love to hear your
Okay.
concerns or anything, even just to say hi. And the state election is November 5th. There was one thing that I added that was underneath all of your paperwork that came in after I had already submitted everything. But speaking of recycling, John O'Donnell is retiring or stepping down from the recycling committee. So that is at the bottom of your.
Do we have to make a motion to accept that?
Do you, well, that's what I
As
don't
a
know if
board,
you accept those resignations, it's more of a question.
They have their own commission.
But I will make sure
But
that
they're-
it is
yeah.
posted on the website, but I just wanted the
Okay.
board to be aware of it. I don't know, do you accept resignations here, is that something that the board,
With
Mhm.
regret.
with regret?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, we typically
Yep.
do.
okay. So that is everything I have.
Okay, thank you.
I would just like to extend sympathy for the passing of Emily Bancroft
Yep.
recently. She was the town's historian and will be sadly missed. So I just wanted to say a couple words about that. Just recognize her and send condolences to the family. Anybody else have anything for the roundtable?
I do. I attended the Board of Health meeting where Ware did their presentation for services. What would you like to know? I mean, it's definitely a Cadillac system. I mean, they seem to really have their stuff together. But the cost,
Mm-hmm.
the cost to the town will be roughly $34,000,
Yep.
just so you know. And right now, we do have a grant in place with Lester
Mm-hmm.
for 3 years. So
How far along are we?
we're just in the first year.
Yeah.
It just, because it had just renewed.
Right. And so
Yeah.
I was Switzerland, I was neutral, and, you know,
And there's something,
I asked a few questions, but
Yeah.
there's something from the far side of the Quabbin too, right? Another,
It's where Belchertown and
Pelham.
Pelham.
okay, so that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, so it's, I think it's something to keep looking into and doing our homework on, but I think we all share that concern with the cost that, yeah.
and I'm gonna email you a couple questions so you can send it to Andrea
Yeah,
about
absolutely.
that, because
Mhm.
not my concern, but as far as, she did a thing based on citizen population. And that's fine to give you a rough ballpark.
Mhm.
But we are more service-based as far as our town, because you look at Belchertown, you look at where they're developing quite a bit.
Mhm.
They have a big commercial base compared to
Mhm.
our town.
Mhm.
We're more in the Pelham range as far as services. But overall, they projected us, 9%? So if we could get it down to maybe, service-wise,
Right,
and look
it
at
might be
it.
a little bit more feasible.
Yeah, we could get it down to like the 5-6% range.
Yeah,
It would be,
yeah, I wonder if that's
it could
negotiable.
work. I'm just,
Yeah.
so I'll send the questions to
Yeah.
you to ask her, and just this, because I'm not sure 100%, like, as far as what we provide for services. I know what the
Versus-
inspection, but like what the demand is in Hardwick, and what
Yeah.
are we developing over the next year, or
Yeah.
next 3 years, versus what is Belchertown developing out, what is Ware developing, what is Pelham, you know what I mean? So it's more of a
Madam Chair.
equitable kind of cost.
Andrew, oh, sorry, I'm so sorry. Andrea is more than welcome to come to our board meeting as well,
Okay.
if the board, at the board's request.
Yeah, I think, I think the process that we're doing now is working until we get a little bit more information. And I know they have a procedure that they have to go through, so I think until we get to there,
Great.
I think probably see what unfolds.
Right, and also the Board of Health
I thought you
hasn't
wanted to say
made
something.
any type of vote or
Right,
any consideration on this, it was just a presentation.
right. Did you want to say something?
I did, but it's
Yes.
okay now.
Oh, are you sure? Do you want to just say it anyway?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm sorry, Eric.
it's all right.
Do you have anything for the roundtable?
I was gonna worry about the reservoir that serves the hydrants on the far side of the river in Gilbertville, but I believe it's starting to be fixed.
Okay.
But we're losing water remarkably fast. So, and that would mean that none of the hydrants on the other side of the river here in Gville would work. So, we're gonna fix a broken hydrant
Okay.
tomorrow, Marty said,
Okay,
and that might, they can't find the leak, so.
gotcha.
So anyway, that's critical,
Yeah,
but they're on it.
okay,
But that's all I have.
okay.
And I was just gonna say that Pelham hires Amherst's fire department. They don't have their own.
They don't,
So it's that kind of a,
yeah,
that was,
yeah,
thanks.
yeah, they're small, they're small.
Mm-hmm,
Did you have anything else?
no, that's it.
Okay. I'm just gonna send out my friendly, happy reminder that poinsettia season is upon us. If anyone can help deliver.
I think we're,
Hmm?
I think yes.
Yes, you'd
I'll
like
get
a
my form
poinsettia?
covered.
The first Sunday in December, we deliver poinsettias to everyone over 75 in town.
That's very nice.
Yeah,
So if you would like to be part of it,
okay,
it's all donation based and it's all volunteer based. So
okay.
It's the first weekend?
it's the Sunday, the December 1st. It's the Sunday after Thanksgiving, because then after that, this chick goes hunting for the month of December, and I don't want poinsettias in my house. Yeah. So, I will take any and all help. I think last year we delivered 241 or 242, so it's a good thing.
We're an old population.
Yes, honestly,
20% of the time.
but it's funny because I think Ralph used to do over 80, and when I first had Paula do those numbers, I was like, that's not. So now run me 75, and then I got that list, and I was like, well, I'm 80 then. That was a big difference.
Yeah.
But it's so good. It's just everybody that's involved has such a good time. So
And occurring the same day as Christmas on the Common and
Yes,
everything.
exactly.
That makes it even
Right.
more fun.
right. So hopefully there's not a huge storm or anything like that, because I don't have a contingency plan. So
Do they just show up for somebody that's over 75? Or does somebody over 75 put in for it?
nope, I get.
Just show up?
Yep, we get the list from the town clerk.
Next.
That's very
So
nice.
as long as it's an accurate list and it's all updated. Knock on wood, I don't think we've had anyone ever reach out that got missed. Yeah, we'll see. But that's all I got.
Excellent.
My shameless plug for.
Nothing wrong with that.
Oh, that's so nice.
Take a motion.
Make a motion to return the meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
7:34.
Okay, that's pretty good.